I'll be back from the differences doing it. All right, we're back with a little bit of a different one this time. As you can tell, I am not in my normal disc dyeing saddle inside the camper. Instead, today, after many requests from the TDIDI Army, we are parked outside the camper for an Old Man Bob Cobb in the bag video. I'll be honest, I was surprised to get even one request for this, because if you've seen any of our actual disc golf videos... Oh, damn! Damn!
Get out.
I don't want to talk about it. You know for sure that I am not out there chasing a rating. And that Weekend Warrior status is probably as good as it's going to get. That said, while it may take me a few extra strokes to get through a round out there on the course, I am indeed hucking some pretty hot plastic. And it's not only because I'm a disc dyer and slightly obsessed with it, it is also because the TDIDI Army is just friggin' awesome. I didn't realize it until I started preparing for this video, but like half the discs in my bag were gifted to me by TDIDI Army generals, which, come on, right? So let's stop talking about it and start doing it. It's time to dig into the bag. Now, I know that this is an in the bag video, but I would be remiss if I didn't start with the bag itself. This is a Prodigy, obviously, backpack bag. If you care about those kind of things, it's like an older version of the BP2, but more importantly, as you can see right here, brandished on the front with embroidery is our TDIDI logo. Come on. And then down here on the bottom, it's stamped with the TDIDI Army logo. And then check it. On the side, on the cup holders, it's got my team there, Go Birds, on either one. Yeah. This bag was a gift from my main man 44 of our little TDIDI Huck crew. And I love it. I love it. Okay, as you can see on the outside, I got my speaker, that's obvious. And then I got my Crunk disc golf knee pad right here from the boys over at Crunk. I don't have a ton of pins on the bag. I got this one. It was a gift from my main man X to the Z for the Heiser project. And then this was from the boys over at Mobile Disc Golf Unit as well. Just 2 pieces of flair for Old Man Cobbers, all right? I'm not like a 7 or 8 piece of flair guy. And then over here in the side pocket, I got my minis over here. This was like one of my favorite dyes ever after I did. It was like my first crazy glue bed dye. Love this. And then I got a bigger mini too from the boys over at Kronk as well. Get that in there. And then let's start to dig inside here, okay? I'm just gonna push that in. I figured a good plan would be, you know, just like out on the course, I'm gonna start at the tee box and work my way to the pin, okay? Now, I have like 2 go-to drivers out there. The INNOVA TERN and the INNOVA SIDEWINDER. I bag a few of these guys. Let's start with the TERN. This one here, I named it the Thumber. This is my champion TERN. You can see the design on the back there. This is obviously from way back in our Sharpie years. This is actually one of the first few videos in our disc golf art series of videos. Like, I don't know how long ago now. It's quick enough for me to roll here while I'm talking about it, but I'll give you like a little backstory on most of the discs in my bag, okay? Way back in the day, my best bud and I, JoJo, we used to bartend like right across the street from each other. And when either one of us would finish a shift, we would go over to the other one's bar and hang out and have a few drinks and then blah, 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 crazy days of youth. Now, JoJo is like really into lists. Really, I know you got one of those friends who's really into lists. And he's obviously really into disc golf. Well, for like a week, our fodder at the bar was making a list for names for our disc golf discs. Like some people name their cars and stuff, right? And this was, I'm telling you, this was a comprehensive list with names that I can share and names that I can't share. But this is one of those original ones that came from that list. And, you know, we would take those names and then go back and match them to the right disc. And then we would brandish the backside of them with some kind of representation of that name. And the designs, you know, started to get more detailed and involved. And then eventually it evolved all the way into like full-on personalized back stamps. Hence the thumber. You know, we had no idea at the time what we were doing. Like, this was going to end up being the inspiration seeds for all this TDIDI stuff and like blossom into an army of disc dyers, which is crazy. But this is one of those. This is one of those from way back when. So that's her, my champion TERN. When I'm on the tee box and I really need to rip one, that's what comes out. All right, into the basket she goes. Next, this is a relatively new addition to the bag. This is my star TERN. I've never really had a star TERN in the bag. I felt like it was time, so bang. But more importantly, this disc was made to complete the set. I'll hold it up to the camera here for you. You can see it's got the Garbage Pail Kids Old Man Bob Cobb on there. That's not what that card was originally called. I just thought it was the perfect image. But back at Christmas this year, I made Garbage Pail Kids discs for all the boys in the TDIDI Huck crew. I waited to make one for myself to make sure I got them all done in time. And then, bang, like I said, I had to complete the set, so I complete the set. And then a little later, maybe like a month or so later, we did this backspin here during one of our live streams over on Facebook there, which I gotta tell you, like, the backspin makes it look so dope when you're underneath it in flight and you can just see it doing its thing. It's so cool. So those are the TERNs. One champion TERN, one star TERN. Next in the bag, we have the Sidewinders. This is another one that you can tell came from all the way back when in the Sharpie era. This one actually was the very first disc in the Disc Golf Art series of videos. Again, another quickie, it'll roll by here. But this one, it's been on hiatus for like 2 years. I lost this disc like a couple weeks after I made that damn video, and boom, it was gone. Until like a month ago, when, listen, make the call, okay? My new main man, Craig, made the call. And after 2 years, we were reunited. This disc is more than just like one I like to huck. It's obviously got serious sentimental value to me. Like, not just because you're gonna make some hucker's day when you make the call, but maybe, just maybe, you might be making the call to like an extremely appreciative and grateful disc dyer who just really wants to thank you for returning his long lost disc. It could happen. Just ask my man Craig with the new Baltimore Ravens disc. Yeah! Okay, so she's back in the bag. Now, the Sidewinder, like I said, I use the TERN when I step up and I want to rip one. The Sidewinder is what I use when I step up and I want to control one. Historically, this is like the only disc that I've ever been able to get on an Anheuser. I don't know why, but I can bend her to the right. But she's not the only Sidewinder in the bag. Let's keep it moving. Next, I have this Star Sidewinder, which again is also from back in the Sharpie years. You can see my man Bob Ross on the back there. This disc was named Tree Love.
Tree Love. Oh, Tree Love. Oh, Tree Love. Ah, Tree Love.
Because obviously with the happy little trees, but this disc, more than any in my bag, has a tree agreement going, which means this sucker gets pulled out in the woods. She sees a lot of flight time in the woods. It's like it's allergic to trees. I don't even... Tree agreement. You know, here's the funny thing. Like, I got this disc originally because I thought that the top looked so cool, right? Come on, it's like the stuff we do now, and it's a little bit of irony, right? That it's like got the Sharpie on the back and now what we do on the front. But again, control, Annies, Heisers, whatever I need, I'll bend this one right through the trees. Sidewinder number 2. The last Sidewinder, this is where we start on the series of TDIDI Army disc dies that are in my bag. This one was dyed by 5-star TDIDI Army General Scott Simposki, which you may recognize that name if you get in on our giveaways at all. Scott is the one who made the hand drawing the eyeball disc in our giveaway a few months ago. You can see it there, which was insane. Okay, like maybe a year back, we did a little disc dye swap where I dyed one for him, he dyed one for me. This is the one that came from it, okay? He dyed me this Crooked Dome Sidewinder. So obviously I came out on top in that trade, but man, this disc, let me tell you, this disc has been so close to being signed and hung on the wall. Like maybe 15 times I've bounced this sucker off the cage, the chains, or the pole. everything but left it in the basket from the tee box. It's gonna happen with this one. I can feel it. Scotty, she's gonna be on the wall soon. You're gonna see it in the videos. It's the last of the sidewinders there. Okay, moving on to this one also was made by the very able hands of my main man, Scott Simposki. It is my Leopard 3 that he brandished with this super dope Mech Warrior. Scott made this one for me only because he's a friggin' dude, okay? That's it. He heard through the grapevine that I had lost this disc right here. This was my original Leopard 3 fairway driver. This was actually the second spin die that I ever did. And he heard about it and decided, you know what, I'm gonna hook him up. So he just made this and sent it to me because he had my address, which, such a dude. Like I said, this is my fairway driver. Ever since I got this one from my main man, Scott, that one that I just threw in the basket has been on backup status, and this one has been in the bag status. Leopard 3. Okay, next. This one, this is the only MVP disc that I bagged. This is a prototype PRISM Insanity. It's been like undyed in my bag for at least a year. And then, you know, I finally came on the idea that I thought fit for it. See, here's the thing. This is the only disc, I guess I'll hold it up to the camera. This is the only disc that like I can consistently from the tee box keep straight. The only driver that I can keep straight. And I really can. It's like straight as an arrow, Robin Hood every time. So like gap shots, tunnel shots, all that, bang, this is what I pull out. So I thought that this op art like tunnel looked super dope and was like a real fit for it. So that's fairway or tee box. If I'm going straight, the tunnel disc is coming out. Okay, look, we've almost made it through the drivers. This is the last of the drivers here. Again, from the Sharpie era, as you can see, this is my Jimmy disc. Man, do I love me some Jimmy. It's cool because this one kind of suns through and you can see the image from both sides. I ended up giving the spin a little, right? I ended up giving it a little spin die later. But this is my hammer and thumber disc, okay? When my arm feels like I can handle it. Now, it used to be of a pair of hammer and thumber discs. This used to be my controlled hammer thumber. And then this disc that you can see right here, this flick, that used to be my power hammer and thumber. But old man Bob Cobb's old wing cannot handle the power thumbers anymore without getting ripped out of the socket. Pretty much anything that comes out overhand, Jimmy's the one kissing the sky. And that marks the end of the drivers, and we move on to the middies. With the middies right here, I got another one in the series of TDIDI Army disc dies. This is my EMAT Truth TDIDI Army dyed Camo disc. This was dyed by like a super OG TDIDI Army general named Scott Oatman, who was just trying to hook a brother up. And let me tell you, he hooked a brother up, because this is like my go-to for long up shots. And here's the other thing, like this is the first disc that I was able to like start to get like a grip on the forehand flick, okay? Because I've always sucked at it. But this one, it just felt right, and bang, I started hitting it. Bang, I started hitting it. Bang, I started hitting it. And then when I got the feeling, it moved through the rest of my mid-ranges. Now, I still can't flick a drive without it just going anywhere, but I'm pretty good. This was like the dawn of my forehand flick. So Scotty, in more ways than one, my man. Okay, next. This is another of the TDIDI Army disc dies. This was dyed by unquestionably TDIDI Army General #1. Easily our very first fan, and now one of my best friends. My absolute main man, X to the Z. Okay, this is my James Brown Mako 3, right? Which, James Brown, that's the name of my dog, my best bud of a little over 20 years. He was diagnosed with cancer a little while back, and I was super bummed about it. So my man X to the Z dyed me up this James Brown Mako 3. You can see you see his signature on the back there too. I can't tell if it's upright or not, but you know, he's all about the backspin too. But he sent me this one, and look, I got this other James Brown disc that he dyed me as well. This one, if you've seen any of our videos, you see it hanging up behind my head in every single one. So this Mako 3 Like I bagged another Mako 3 in the past. That's why he picked it. I bag it because it's the only disc, one of the only discs out there that has 0 turn and 0 fade, which means that every time I throw it and it doesn't stay straight, I know that it's 100% I suck and it's all my fault. Which happens more often than not. But when I'm trying to go straight with the MIDI, bang, that's what I pull out. The James Brown from a Main Man X to the Z Mako 3. Now, before that disc, like, and I knew about the Mako 3, what I used to try to go straight with my midis was this Star Stingray. Now, this disc honestly doesn't get as much flight time anymore, but it stays in my bag for nostalgia, if nothing else. This is the very first disc that I ever dropped into a background, you know, background bed, did a background die on, and then obviously I spun it. So it's got like a real special place in my heart. And even if I don't throw it, you know, I tote it around in the bag. It still sees some flight time, but not nearly as much. Here's another cool thing about this disc outside of nostalgia. You know, it started to fade to the point where, like, the dye has almost fully migrated through the plastic to the back side, which is, like, super cool, right? I've had others that have done that, and I've done, like, 2-stage, like, another dye on it later that you can see them both. It's super cool, but there's poetry in the fade, and this disc will forever scream that as it sits in my bag. That's the Star Stingray. Okay, next, when I'm trying to, you know, bend the mid-range, this is where these discs come in. This is my Mouth of Sauron Buzz SS. Okay, now I am an absolutely huge Lord of the Rings and Hobbit fan. Not only was it like were those the books that I like first developed the love for reading with, but the movies just blew my mind. And like in the movies, and this isn't just like the regular movies, you had to get like the extended version. That my favorite character was the Mouth of Sauron, which if you're unfamiliar with him, he's the dude that comes out of the Black Gate when they're going there to help Frodo, and he comes out to give Gandalf Frodo's mithril armor. And he says to him, my master bids thee welcome. I have a token for you. Your friggin' hobbit friend is dead. Which, if you haven't seen it, that's exactly how it goes.
My master, Sauron the Great, bids thee welcome.
And if, like, spare a little bit of fading, that's pretty much exactly what he looks like. So when I need to bend a wicked one, out comes the Mouth of Sauron Buzz SS. Your friggin' hobbit friend is dead. 44 is gonna love that. All right, and then this is the other one I pull out when I really want to take one to the left. This is my War of the Worlds warship, which, man, would I love to take credit for this disc die. Alas, this I'm never going to be able to dye that good. This was dyed by another 5-star TDIDI Army General, Greg Renfro. If the name rings a bell, he's been featured in our other basement disc dyer videos, showing how he does this crazy hand painting, like his watercoloring technique. It's out of control. But he gifted this to me a while back because he's a rock star. But this disc was like the first one where I had, like, for the first time, a little bit of empathy for all you people that say, like, it's too pretty, I can't huck it. But, like, only for a minute. Like, only for a minute. Because this thing was made for a good hucking, and that's what it gets. That's what it gets. Greg, you're a stud. I love it. Anytime I need to bend it left. Upshot. MIDI. This is when it comes out. It glows in the dark, something fierce. Alright. We finished up the drivers and the mid-ranges, and now we're going to move on to the putters, which I'm convinced that maybe after another few decades of playing this game, I'll probably figure out how to use. Until then, here's what we got. First, this is the good old blunt gum putt. Made by Steady Eddie himself back in the day. This is unquestionably the oldest disc in my bag. I mean, I have been bagging this thing for 20 plus years. I love this disc. Now, while it's a putter, I don't ever use it for putting. It's bounced off the chains for me more times than not. But anytime I need the disc to stop where it lands, bang, this is the one that comes out. It's like, you can it's like rubber, and it bends like this, okay? Here's another thing that means. It hates dye. It won't die. I've tried it. So what I did was give it that, with some Sharpies, that tramp stamp bang me image that we've all seen like a million times on the back. And every once in a while, she treats me right, and she'll bang one right in there. Just by accident, you know, because I'm usually trying to lay it up with this thing. I said it, all right? So that's the blunt gum putter. Okay, now for the putters that I actually putt with. Inside the circle, all putts are done with this WESTSIDE HARP. This disc was dyed for me by another TDIDI Army general, potentially the OGest of the TDIDI Army generals, my main man Alan Eckery from Ride the Glide. He made me this and some really dope acrylic pour paintings and sent them to me. And like, I haven't put this putter down inside the circle since I've gotten it. It replaced two that I used to use. I love this thing. And then again, in one of our live stream disc dyes, I fancied up the back with a backspin. So now it's a collab disc that Greg and I did together. And like I said, maybe a few more decades from now, I'll learn how to use it and just start banging them. Okay, this is the very last of the discs in the bag. This is another oldie for me. This is my outside the circle putter. The Retro Man put the D in the B putter. Yeah. Come on, right? Get your mind out of the gutter. It's put the disc in the basket. All right, this sucker, I got this like in a big, like, I don't want to say grab bag, but in a big box of kind of used discs that I bought when I first started disc dyeing, and I wanted to like have a bunch to practice on. And this was in there, and I fell in love with it right away. It's a Zeppelin, a DISCRAFT Zeppelin, and I'm pretty sure this is like the biggest, heaviest, largest putter that you can find out there. So like I can keep it steady, almost like a frisbee, you know. And that's where it all started for me, frisbee, not disc golf. I was one of those guys on the beach running around hucking frisbees with his buddies. We recently touched up the back with another backspin there. Again, that was over on one of our live streams over on Facebook. You should come hang out with us if you haven't yet. It's a ton of fun. But with this slightly inappropriate putter, we have officially emptied all the discs out of the bag. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was actually a little bit more fun for me than I anticipated. But here's the last thing I'll say to you before I let you go. You know, most of those discs, they were in my bag before I started disc dyeing. And even though I still kind of suck out there at everything other than having like a really good time on the course, they all fly longer and straighter now that I fancied them up. There's just something about it. It's just something about it. All right, you huckers. Until we see you again, keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Off the floor. We're gonna move right here.
Oh.
Heartbreaker!
Oh.